Hello, this is part 36 of my preparation for NSE4 exam, and let's talk about proxy-based active connections and active connections with non-proxy based. So let's separate these two. And first, when client initiates this connection, it sends to the FortiGate primary, it sends SYN. So this is one SYN packet, and the same it happens in proxy-based connection. First, it sends SYN packet. And this packet goes from MAC address of the client to virtual MAC address of, so this one is virtual port 1. And here it's also virtual. Then primary FortiGate sends to secondary FortiGate this packet SYN, so it's 2 SYN, and the same it happens here, stage 2 SYN packet, and here it finishes SYN packet. After that, usually in our first one is SYN packet, then second in normal freehand shake is second stage is SYN ACK packet, SYN ACK, and the third one is packet which is acknowledgement ACK packet. So here first client sends SYN packet, then primary sends it from port 1, which is real, not virtual hardware MAC address of the primary, port 1 to hardware primary of the secondary to port 1 SYN packet. After that, secondary FortiGates sends SYN ACK packet. In proxy-based inspection, it sends to the client SYN ACK. It's number 3, SYN ACK. After that, as for acknowledgement, client sends acknowledgement to the primary FortiGate. So it's 4 acknowledgement, and it sends also to virtual MAC address of the primary FortiGate. Then we can see that primary FortiGate sends acknowledgement to the secondary FortiGate, and here it's from real MAC address of port 1 to real MAC address of port 1 of secondary FortiGate. And at this stage, client communication with a three handshake is over for the client side, and only after that secondary FortiGate initiates the session with the server. So let's see the server. It sends SYN packet to the server only after that. So it's SYN packet. It was 5, so here it's 6. Then the server responds with SYN-ACK. Server responds with SYN-ACK. It's 7. Then this SYN-ACK packet primary FortiGate sends to the secondary. And after that, FortiGate secondary sends to the server acknowledgement. Secondary FortiGate sends to the FortiGate acknowledgement. So note that here virtual on the primary FortiGate from the client and from the server, it goes to virtual. So this one is virtual interface. Virtual port 1, virtual MAC address port 2, and the same for non-proxy based inspection. It also sends from server and from client communications to the FortiGate primary. They are on virtual interfaces, and communication between primary FortiGate and secondary FortiGate, they are on real hardware MAC addresses. So let's continue how it happens with non-proxy based inspection. So first we received SYN, and after that the main difference is that secondary FortiGate will not wait when it will receive the acknowledgement from the primary, and secondary FortiGate will send where is my SYN? Okay, it's difference here that secondary FortiGate here will send SYN packet to the server. So it's after that, server, like here also, responds with SYN-ACK packet. SYN-ACK, we put a red color. This one is SYN-ACK. It's step 4, SYN-ACK. Server sends to primary to virtual interface from service MAC address to virtual MAC address of FortiGate primary. Then primary FortiGate sends to the secondary this SYN-ACK packet. It's step 5. After receiving SYN-ACK, FortiGate should send SYN-ACK to the client. So server, secondary, now it sends SYN-ACK to the client. And secondary FortiGate sends from its hardware MAC address to client's MAC address. After that, client the same response with acknowledgement. Acknowledgement, green, where is it? Yeah, so here it sends acknowledgement. It was 4, 5, here's 6, here's 7 acknowledgement, and this acknowledgement primary FortiGate sends to the secondary FortiGate. Yes. Communication between primary and secondary, they are from real hardware MAC addresses. And after that, secondary FortiGate sends to the server acknowledgement. So at this stage, this is a complete cycle of the traffic when traffic flow in active connections between primary and secondary FortiGates for proxy-based and non-proxy-based connections. And here the most important for the active primary proxy-based, that the primary uses secondary FortiGates in terms of utilizing its CPU and memory utilization, and not actually for load balancing, because actually there are, for example, it's not only this one secondary interface. There could be, for example, one primary and let's say 3 secondary. There is one primary FortiGate and several secondary FortiGates. And anyway, from the client, for example, and from the server, all communications go anyway to the primary, and lots of traffic is connected to the primary, but it is using CPU and memory of secondary devices for its proxy-based inspection. And here in non-proxy-based inspection, there could be many cases it's load balancing purposes. So let's check what is common for both of these scenarios. The common thing is that the traffic sourced from the client or server, and here it's destined to the FortiGate cluster, and when it's sending to the cluster, it's sending in both cases to the primary FortiGate. And the source and destination MAC addresses of client, endpoint, and server, their MAC addresses, and of the FortiGate primary, it is a virtual MAC address of the FortiGate primary. And second, the primary FortiGate here in turn forwards traffic to secondary if the session is to be load balanced. And when distributing the traffic to the secondary devices interfaces, the source and destination MAC addresses respectively. If traffic is load balanced to the secondary FortiGate, any traffic sourced from the cluster and destined to the secondary FortiGate, it means that source MAC address is a physical MAC address, And destination is also physical MAC address of the secondary egress interface. When compared to proxy inspection, here the main difference is FortiGate does not reply to packets on behalf of the client or on behalf of the server. Here it sends on behalf of the server. This FortiGate already sends acknowledgement, but here secondary FortiGate sends first to the server, then receives CNAC, and only after that sends CNAC to the client. And instead of replying to SYN packet, for example, FortiGate forwards the packet to the server here. First forwards to the server, and server sends to the client through primary, through secondary, and then sends to the client this response. Yes, that's it for this comparison between proxy-based active connections and non-proxy based load balanced connections. Thank you.